Let's take a closer look at custom calculations in our NetSuite financial reports. Now, custom calculations can be applied throughout our NetSuite financial statements. They can either be added as simple metrics as rows to our reports, or we can add columns to the reports that perform calculations. We're going to look at a use case shortly where we can add the gross margin to our income statement. As I just said, we can also add columns to our reports as well. So we'll take a look at an example where we can add a comparative period to our income statement and then a third column to look at the percentage change between the two accounting periods. Let's jump into NetSuite and see how we do this. So here on screen, we have our consolidated income statement for the period January 2023. And what we want to do in this case is take a look at our gross profit margin. Let's customize our report. And what we need to do here is add a line below our gross profit. So we're going to click on the row below and we're going to add a formula row. Perfect. We're going to label this formula row as our gross margin. Let's go down to the formula section and we need to start with our gross profit for the period. And then we need to divide that by our total income for the period. And in this case, in our income statement, we have two separate rows for our income. So we need to combine the two. So we're going to divide by our combined income. So in this case, we have income and we need to add to that our other income. Perfect. And then now that we have gross profit divided by income, we now need to put that in a percentage form. And we're going to make sure that's a fixed percentage. And this is the formula that we'll use to generate the gross margin in our income statement. The other thing I want to show you, we're going to jump across to edit columns. We're going to add a comparative period and a third column to show the percentage change between the two accounting periods. First, let's go ahead and add a second amount column. So the first amount column is going to be the current period. The second column is going to be the prior period. In order to set this up as the prior period, we need to go down to the alternate period range type, set it to relative to report date, and then select the alternate period range. In this case, we're looking for a period filter and we're looking for last period. Now that we have kind of our current period and our prior period, we now want to compare the two. The way to do that is to add a formula field as an extra column to this report. And we're going to look at the percentage change from this period to last period. So let's go ahead and we will be taking the percentage of Y in this case, comparing our new period to our old period. X being the amount for our current period, Y being the amount from our prior period. And now we have our gross margin added to the report. We now have a column for our prior period. We have a column for the percentage change. In fact, let's go ahead and give this a name for the report. Let's go ahead and preview. So now what we're seeing on screen is that we have a column for our current period being January 2023, the prior period being December 2022, a column for the percentage change between those two accounting periods. And you'll also notice we now have a row in our report for the gross margin. So we can see that here. The one thing I want to point out though is that the gross margin is not in the correct format for our amount and our prior period amount. Let's go ahead and customize this so we're not showing the dollar values and instead we show a percentage value. There's different ways to do this, but we can really force the behavior that we're looking for. So we're going to uncheck the show currency checkbox and we're going to add a suffix of percentage. Now let's go ahead and preview the report and we'll see now it's correctly displaying the gross margin with the percentage symbol and no longer showing the dollar symbol.